Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Chapter 1, The Haunting Legacy. In the heart of Springwood, a town ensnared by its darkest secrets, a stifling sense of dread weighed heavily upon the air. John, the town's sole surviving teenager, stood at the precipice of a nightmarish existence. His young life was tethered to the past, a past marred by the relentless cruelty of an abusive father. But it wasn't only the earthly specter of his father that haunted him, it was the otherworldly presence of Freddy Krueger that clawed at the edges of his sanity, threatening to tear it asunder. The town's once thriving streets had devolved into a labyrinth of despair, as if they were the winding pathways of John's own tormented mind. The eerie silence of the once bustling Elm Street now echoed with the whispered horrors of generations. Parents warned their children to stay inside, to avoid the shadowy corners of the town that concealed the malevolent spirit who had terrorized their dreams for years. John, an enigma in his own right, had inherited the traumatic legacy of Springwood's troubled past. His eyes bore the weight of countless sleepless nights, each haunted by the grotesque figure of Freddy Krueger. The burns that marred Krueger's once human face, combined with the gleam of his razor-sharp glove, were etched indelibly into John's consciousness. The memory of his father's beatings and the visions of Freddy's merciless assaults in his dreams had left an indelible mark upon his psyche. The bedroom, once a sanctuary, was now a battleground where the lines between nightmares and reality blurred. In those hushed, sleepless nights, John had learned to fear both the living and the undead. It was a haunting legacy, a chilling inheritance he couldn't escape. John yearned for freedom from the suffocating grip of his past. He was desperate to sever the chains that bound him to the town's malevolent history. But Springwood was relentless, a place where the sins of the past refused to fade away, and the sins of the present refused to stay buried. As he lay awake in the dimly lit room, a sudden chill ran down John's spine. The whispers of his nightmares seemed to beckon him, drawing him deeper into the labyrinth of darkness that was Springwood. The legacy of horror that had claimed so many lives hung over him like a shroud, and John knew that if he was to confront his demons and escape this living nightmare, he would need to embark on a journey that would take him to the heart of the town's deepest, darkest secrets. Chapter 2, A Glimmer of Hope. The gloom of Springwood pressed upon John's shoulders, a relentless weight that seemed to tighten its grip with each passing day. The memories of his turbulent past and the ominous presence of Freddy Krueger had not relented, but amidst the shadows, a flicker of hope beckoned to him. One fateful evening, as the town remained shrouded in its eerie silence, John found himself captivated by a TV broadcast chronicling Springwood's infamous history. The screen flickered to life, and the voice of a somber news anchor filled the room, recounting the countless horrors that had unfolded within the town's forsaken borders. Images of devastated homes, grieving parents, and the sinister specter of Freddy Krueger flashed across the screen. And then, as if by the hand of fate itself, the broadcast transitioned to an old newspaper article. It was a yellowed, crinkled relic from the past, dated years ago. John's eyes fixed on the headline, "The Enigma of Freddy Krueger, Secrets Buried in Springwood's Past." The article spoke of a woman, a mysterious figure whose connection to Freddy's origin had been buried beneath layers of secrecy. She was said to possess the key to unraveling the malevolent enigma that was Freddy Krueger. As John read the article, a spark of determination ignited within him, dispelling the shadows that had haunted his mind for so long. It was an opportunity to break free from the chains of his own torment. He understood that this woman, shrouded in the whispers of Springwood's history, might hold the answers he sought. Her existence hinted at a glimmer of hope, a chance to face his demons and unearth the town's dark secrets. Intrigue and purpose intertwined within John's thoughts, a clarity he had long yearned for. With newfound resolve, he set out on a journey that would lead him to confront not only the town's horrors but the darkness that had dwelled within him. The path ahead was uncertain, the shadows of Springwood closing in as he ventured into the abyss of his hometown's enigmatic past. Yet, he was driven by an unwavering determination, a relentless desire to unmask the truth and finally put an end to the nightmare that had plagued his life. With each step, John's destiny unfolded, entwining his fate with the looming specter of Freddy Krueger and the woman who held the key to their intertwined pasts. Chapter 3: Unraveling the Nightmare. John's pursuit of the enigmatic woman mentioned in the old newspaper article unfurled like a thread leading deeper into the labyrinth of Springwood's sinister history. As he dug further, he inadvertently unraveled the fragile web of normalcy that had cloaked the town. The mere presence of John in the community was a catalyst for chaos. The adults of Springwood, their psyches teetering on the precipice of madness, found themselves unable to ignore the specter of their own guilt. The sins of their pasts, the complicity that had allowed Freddy Krueger's reign of terror to persist, clawed at their conscience. Each day, the town's adults, haunted by the memory of their failings, began to unravel. Their faces bore the weight of their guilt, etched with deep lines of torment. The mania within them grew like a cancer, consuming their sanity. The once cohesive community became fragmented, a sea of fractured relationships and disintegrating families. Every corner of Springwood seemed to whisper their dark secrets, as if the very ground beneath them held the echoes of their betrayal. The town itself appeared to pulse with malevolent energy, its very foundations marred by the horrors it had concealed for so long. John, an unwitting catalyst for this escalating turmoil, found himself at the heart of the storm. As he sought the woman who held the key to Freddy's past, he could not escape the consequences of his actions. The path he had chosen, the secrets he had unearthed, had ignited a maelstrom that threatened to engulf the town. In the midst of this chaos, John's determination remained unbroken. He understood that to confront the darkest corners of Springwood's history, he would have to confront the darkness within himself. The eerie atmosphere of his hometown was a reflection of the turmoil in his own mind, and the two were inexorably linked. With each revelation and every step closer to finding the woman of mystery, John's resolve deepened. He was determined to face the past and lay the ghosts of Springwood to rest. The storm within the town mirrored the tempest within him, and as he ventured further into the heart of the darkness, he understood that the true battle lay ahead, not only against Freddy Krueger but against the demons that had haunted him all his life. Chapter 4: Allies in the Abyss. John's relentless pursuit of the enigmatic woman who held the key to Freddy's past led him deeper into the murky waters of Springwood's underbelly. His path took an unexpected turn when it led him to a shelter for troubled youth, a place that seemed to exist on the fringes of the town's collective nightmare. The shelter was a sanctuary for those who had experienced the relentless darkness that clung to Springwood like a curse. Its inhabitants were a motley crew of enigmatic individuals, each bearing the scars of their own harrowing pasts. Their lives were marked by trauma, and their eyes held the haunted glint of those who had stared into the abyss and lived to tell the tale. Among this eclectic group was Maggie, a social worker whose presence commanded attention. Her demeanor was a blend of strength and vulnerability, and her eyes revealed a depth of pain that mirrored the haunted look in John's own. Maggie had her own connection to the Elm Street nightmares, a bond forged in the crucible of her own past. The moment their paths converged, a palpable tension filled the air. John and Maggie were drawn to each other by an invisible force, their connection instantaneous and undeniable. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them together, two kindred spirits bound by their shared experiences of torment and survival. Their relationship was volatile, a fire that burned with an intensity born from the crucible of their own personal hells. In each other, they found solace and a shared purpose. Together, they were determined to unravel the secrets of Springwood's darkness and confront the nightmarish legacy that had plagued their lives. As they delved deeper into their quest, the shelter for troubled youth became a nexus of revelation and turmoil. The residents, united by their own scars, lent their unique perspectives and strengths to the growing resistance against Freddy Krueger. The bonds formed within those hallowed walls were unbreakable, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable horrors. In Maggie, John found a partner in his journey, a force of nature whose unwavering support and shared determination fueled their resolve. The fiery connection they shared was a beacon of hope in a town shrouded in darkness, a glimmer of light in the abyss. As John and Maggie's alliance deepened, they understood that the battle against Freddy was not one that could be fought alone. In their newfound allies, they discovered the strength to face the unspeakable, and together, they would confront the demons that lurked within the shadows of Springwood. Chapter 5: The Madness Spreads. Springwood, once a quiet town with a sinister secret, had descended further into madness. The relentless reign of terror imposed by Freddy Krueger intensified, his malevolence seeping into every crevice of the town's existence. The adults, who had long buried their complicity in the evil deeds of their past, were now paying a ghastly price. The guilt that had festered in their hearts for years had driven them to the brink of madness. The town's parents, the very people who should have protected their children, now faced gruesome fates of their own. Their nightmares had become reality, a horrifying mirror of the sins they had tried to forget. Every night, their dreams were twisted into macabre landscapes where Freddy's sadistic creativity knew no bounds. The screams of the tormented adults echoed through the cursed streets, their agony manifesting in grotesque ways. Freddy reveled in the terror he inflicted, a malevolent puppeteer orchestrating their worst fears. John and Maggie, bound by their shared purpose and fiery connection, watched with growing dread as the town spiraled deeper into chaos. The urgency of their quest weighed heavily upon them. The secrets of Freddy's past were the key to ending his reign of terror, and time was running out. In their hearts, they knew that the only way to save Springwood was to confront the darkness that had shrouded the town for so long. The sins of the past could no longer be ignored, and the evil that had festered for generations had to be exposed. The answers lay within the enigmatic woman they sought, a woman whose own connection to Freddy's origin could provide the crucial insight needed to defeat him. As they navigated the ever-darkening landscape of Springwood, John and Maggie felt the weight of the town's despair pressing down upon them. Their alliance, forged in the crucible of their shared torment, was a source of strength and resolve. The chaos that had consumed the town was a reflection of the inner turmoil within them, and they were determined to break the cycle of suffering. With each passing day, the madness that gripped Springwood intensified, and the horrors that manifested in the dreams of its inhabitants grew more grotesque. John and Maggie knew that their journey would lead them to the heart of the darkness, where the secrets of Freddy's past awaited. The fate of the town and its tormented souls rested in their hands, and they were prepared to face the nightmares head-on, no matter the cost. Chapter 6: Unmasking the Nightmare. In their relentless quest for the truth, John and Maggie delved deeper into the twisted history of Freddy Krueger. With each revelation, they uncovered the harrowing tapestry of his early life. It was a journey that painted a chilling and visceral picture of the man who had become Springwood's darkest nightmare. Freddy Krueger's origins were born of a twisted union, a family marked by the grotesque and the macabre. The product of an unholy marriage, Freddy's very existence was steeped in darkness from the moment he took his first breath. His childhood, a time that should have been filled with innocence and joy, was instead a crucible of despair. The horrors of Freddy's early life were like pages torn from a Gothic novel. He had been subjected to unspeakable abuse and neglect, his innocence stripped away by those who should have protected him. The scars on his body and soul ran deep, serving as a constant reminder of the terrors he had endured. The darkness within Freddy was not solely a result of his own malevolence, it was a product of the very real terrors he had suffered at the hands of those who should have cared for him. His transformation into the monstrous figure that haunted the nightmares of Springwood was, in part, a response to the traumas he had endured. As John and Maggie uncovered the layers of Freddy's past, they came to a chilling realization: the monster who had tormented their lives had once been a victim himself. The specter with the burned face and razor-sharp glove had been shaped by the very real horrors of his upbringing, and it added a harrowing layer of complexity to his character. With each revelation, the line between villain and victim blurred. Freddy Krueger was not simply a malevolent force, he was a tormented soul whose torment had led him down a path of darkness. It was a revelation that shook John and Maggie to their core, challenging their understanding of the nightmare that had plagued them for so long. The horrors of Freddy's past were now exposed, but the questions remained. What had driven him to commit the unspeakable acts that had scarred Springwood for generations? And could the knowledge of his traumatic history be the key to ending his reign of terror once and for all? John and Maggie knew that they were on the cusp of a revelation that would shape the course of their battle against Freddy. The darkness that had gripped Springwood for so long was unraveling, and the final confrontation with their tormentor was drawing near. Chapter 7: Rising Tensions. Springwood, a town ensnared by its dark legacy, stood on the precipice of a cataclysmic reckoning. Tensions in the once quiet community had reached a boiling point, and the collective conscience of its survivors had been galvanized into action. United by a shared purpose, they prepared for a final, brutal showdown with the embodiment of their worst nightmares. The survivors, each bearing their own scars and haunted by the torment of Freddy Krueger, had banded together. Their alliance was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable horrors. No longer content to cower in the shadows, they were determined to confront the malevolent force that had plagued their lives for years. The stakes had never been higher. The town's very existence teetered on the brink of oblivion. The malevolence that had festered within the heart of Springwood threatened to consume it whole, a darkness that had bled into the collective psyche of its inhabitants. If they were to have any hope of survival, they needed to face the source of their torment head-on. As the survivors prepared for the final confrontation, the atmosphere in Springwood grew increasingly tense. The town's once quiet streets were now a battlefield, a battleground where the forces of good and evil were destined to clash. The air was charged with anticipation, a palpable sense of dread that hung like a shroud over the town. John and Maggie, their fiery connection stronger than ever, found themselves at the center of this maelstrom. The weight of their mission pressed down upon them, a burden that could not be ignored. The secrets of Freddy's past had been laid bare, but the true battle was yet to come. They were prepared to face the monster who had haunted their dreams and confront the demons that lurked within the shadows of Springwood. In the midst of this rising tension, the survivors became a beacon of hope, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Their resolve was unshakable, and their determination unwavering. They understood that the battle ahead would be brutal, that the nightmares they had endured for years would culminate in a final, cataclysmic confrontation. The town of Springwood, a place once plagued by darkness, now stood on the precipice of redemption. The survivors, united in their quest, were ready to face the monster that had haunted their lives, no matter the cost. The final showdown was imminent, and the fate of the town rested in the hands of those who had refused to be consumed by their own nightmares. Chapter 8: The Battle Begins. The time for reckoning had arrived in Springwood. John, Maggie, and their allies, united in their quest to confront Freddy Krueger, stood on the precipice of a relentless battle. The once quiet streets of the town were now the eerie stage for the ultimate showdown, a battleground where the embodiment of their worst nightmares awaited. As the battle commenced, a palpable tension gripped the air. The darkness that had festered within the town's collective psyche was now manifest in the flesh. Freddy Krueger, the grotesque figure with the burned face and razor-sharp glove, stood before them, a malevolent force that had tormented their lives for far too long. The clash between the survivors and their tormentor was visceral, a descent into madness and chaos that played out on the decaying streets of Springwood. The battle was a grotesque ballet of violence and terror, a collision of nightmares and reality. The survivors fought with a ferocity born of years of torment, their determination unshakable. Freddy, reveling in the torment he inflicted, unleashed his sadistic creativity upon his adversaries. His glove danced through the air like a deadly conductor's wand, and the nightmares of his victims were made horrifyingly real. Each scream of terror echoed through the town, a haunting symphony of agony. John, Maggie, and their newfound allies refused to be broken. Their connection was a source of strength, an unbreakable bond that fueled their resolve. In each other, they found solace and determination, a shared purpose that could not be extinguished. They were determined to confront the embodiment of their torment and to finally lay the ghosts of Springwood to rest. The battle was relentless, a test of willpower and endurance. The survivors were forced to face their deepest fears, to confront the horrors that had haunted their lives. But they had come too far to back down now. The nightmare that had plagued Springwood for generations would meet its end on those forsaken streets. The echoes of the battle resonated through the town, a crescendo of horror and determination. The fate of Springwood hung in the balance, and the survivors were prepared to pay any price to rid themselves of the malevolent specter that had plagued their lives. The battle had begun, and it was a battle for redemption, a battle for the very soul of the town itself. Chapter 9: Confronting Demons. Amid the relentless battle that engulfed the decaying streets of Springwood, John found himself facing not only the external menace of Freddy Krueger but the inner demons that had haunted him for years. The clash with the embodiment of his nightmares was a crucible in which he was forced to confront the painful truths of his past. As the battle raged on, the memories of his abusive father and the tormented childhood he had endured played out in his mind like a relentless nightmare. The echoes of his father's cruelty, the scars both physical and emotional, had left an indelible mark on John's psyche. The battle with Freddy was, in a way, a battle with the traumas of his past, a reckoning with the darkness that had haunted him for far too long. But John was not alone in this internal struggle. Maggie, his fiery ally and kindred spirit, stood by his side, offering unwavering support. Her presence was a source of strength, a lifeline in the midst of the chaos. The undeniable connection between them was a driving force, a fire that burned with an intensity born from their shared torment. As John faced his inner demons, Maggie's presence was a beacon of hope, a reminder that he was not alone in his battle. Together, they confronted the scars of their pasts, harnessed their inner strength, and found the resolve to challenge the nightmares that had plagued them. The battle with Freddy was not just a physical clash but a psychological one. The monster sought to exploit the vulnerabilities and fears of his adversaries, to break their spirits and subject them to the same torment that had consumed Springwood for years. In the midst of the chaos, John and Maggie's connection deepened, and their determination to rid Springwood of its tormentor grew unwavering. They understood that the battle was not only about defeating Freddy but about reclaiming their own lives, exorcising the demons of their pasts, and ensuring that the legacy of horror would be banished forever. As the battle continued, John found the strength to face his own darkness, to overcome the trauma that had haunted him. The echoes of his father's cruelty and the torment of his own nightmares were no match for the resilience he had discovered within himself. He was prepared to confront his past and the malevolent force that had plagued Springwood for far too long. The battle was a crucible of redemption, a testament to the indomitable human spirit's ability to overcome the darkest of trials. John and Maggie, united by their shared purpose and unwavering connection, were prepared to face their demons. Both inner and outer, no matter the cost. The fate of Springwood hung in the balance, and they were determined to be the catalysts of its salvation. Chapter 10: The Dawn of Redemption. As the relentless battle between the survivors and Freddy Krueger raged on, the town of Springwood was plunged into a nightmarish abyss. The eerie silence that had once hung heavily in the air was now replaced by the sounds of terror and determination echoing through the crumbling streets. The clash with the malevolent force that had haunted Springwood for generations was a cataclysmic reckoning, a final, brutal showdown that would determine the town's fate. The survivors, united by their shared purpose and unwavering determination, had confronted their inner demons and the external threat that had tormented them for years. In the heart of the darkness, John and Maggie, bound by their fiery connection, had found the strength to overcome the traumas of their pasts. Their alliance was unbreakable, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable horrors. They had harnessed their inner strength and used it as a weapon against the nightmare that had plagued them. As the battle raged on, the survivors' determination had pushed them to the brink, and they had refused to back down. The echoes of their screams, both of terror and determination, filled the night. The town's very existence teetered on the brink, and the fate of Springwood hung in the balance. And then, as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the nightmare began to crumble. The relentless terror that had gripped the town for generations was finally banished. The malevolent force that was Freddy Krueger met its end, the embodiment of their worst nightmares vanquished by the collective will of the survivors. The sun, a symbol of hope and redemption, bathed Springwood in its warm light. The town, once shrouded in darkness, was freed from its torment. The survivors, battered and bruised but victorious, began to walk away from the smoldering ashes of their battle. But even as they left the horrors of Springwood behind, they knew that some nightmares never truly end. The scars of their pasts and the legacy of Freddy Krueger would forever haunt their dreams. The battle had been won, but the town's dark history was a specter that would continue to linger. In the end, John, Maggie, and their allies had emerged victorious from a hard-fought battle, a testament to the indomitable human spirit's ability to overcome the darkest of trials. The dawn of redemption had come for Springwood, but the echoes of its past would forever be etched in the collective memory of the survivors, reminder that some nightmares, no matter how terrifying, could be confronted and conquered. Hello, fellow fiction fans. I'm thrilled you're enjoying MutedGamerFiction. Your support means the world to me. If you're loving our stories, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement fuels our storytelling. I'd love to hear from you. Share fanfic ideas or just say hi in the comments. Let's build this community together. Thanks for being part of MutedGamerFiction. Keep listening, and your support keeps the stories coming. Can't wait to see your ideas. Happy listening, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next chapter.